प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् वीरेश्वरानन्ददयामृताब्धिं श्रीरङ्गनाथं च विज्ञानभानुं चिदानन्दरूप श्रीपुरुषोत्तमार्यं ध्यायन् हृदिस्थां कृतिनं ह्यवैमि। Dear Honorable Shri Shantanu and sisters and brothers, it is an honor to me that today I am in your midst to say something about the one person whom I have been adoring in my life since my high school days, great Swami Vivekananda. I was asked to say something about the message that he has given to India in particular and mankind in general. Vivekananda is a world teacher. To quote the words of Sri Ramakrishna, he has been sent by Divine Mother herself for teaching the world. Several times Ramakrishna has said this. Naren has been given license to teach the world and he is going to teach the world. Naren was just an 18-year-old boy when Ramakrishna started all these things, when Naren himself was present, sitting before him. Naren never knew all these things. He just knew that he was the son of Vishwanath Datta and Bhureshwari Devi, studying in Presidency College and Scottish Church College in Calcutta. More than that, he never knew anything about his own self. But here is one Ramakrishna who is giving some information about Narendra Das which no one else other than Ramakrishna knew. Once Keshava Chandra Sen had come to Dakshineshwar to see Sri Ramakrishna. And you know, Keshava Chandra Sen was the person who, whenever he would visit London and interpret Bible, Queen Victoria would come, she would sit before him cross-legged and listen to his interpretation for hours together. That was the stature of Keshava Chandra Sen, the then chief of Brahmo Samaj that was founded by Devendranath Tagore, I think Ram Mohan Rai, Devendranath Tagore and such other people. Once Keshava Chandra Sen was there present, Narendra also was there. Ramakrishna looked intently at both of them. For a while he looked at Naren and later he looked at Keshava Chandra Sen. Somehow it flashed to him that he should say something about both these with a comparative note. What he said was something unbelievable for not only anyone that was present there, even Narendra himself did not believe. What he said was, it is because of the blossoming of one power in Keshava that he has lifted himself to such great heights of glory. It is because one power is awakened in Keshava that today he is in such a position. While 18 such powers are there in Narendra. If Keshava Chandra Sen is a glorious personality today, it is because just one power has woken up itself with him. One power. Naren has such 18 powers. If Keshava is 5-petaled lotus, Naren is 1,000-petaled lotus. If light in Keshava is something like a lamp, then light in Naren is a blazing sun. If Keshava can be likened to a pond, Naren is an ocean. Like that, the comparison went on. After Keshava left this place, Naren took his guru to task. What were you saying? What would people think about you if you go on saying like this? Where is Keshava Chandra Sen? Where am I? I am just a student pursuing my degree studies. And where is Keshava, an internationally renowned scholar, respected and venerated everywhere in the world? What has befallen you? Like that, he started taking his guru to task. Ramakrishna wanted to console Nare. He wanted to give an explanation for whatever he said till now. He said, Nare, remember, I never utter a single word of my own. Whatever Divine Mother shows, that I simply tell you all. What he showed, whatever she showed about you two, that I have simply revealed to you all. I have not told anything on my own. It is not my reading. Here, like that, several times Sri Ramakrishna has given the picture of Narendranath. Who is he, why he has come, what mission he has come for. All such details we get about Narendranath, the most authentic language from Sri Ramakrishna himself, who was the mentor of Narendranath. Before a few days of his breathing last, Ramakrishna transmitted all the powers to Narendranath and charged him with a mandate that with the powers that he was imparted with, he would teach the world. But all his powers will have to be used for the benefit of the world, for the good of the world. How at all Naren would achieve this benefit? What sort of benefit he is going to give to world? What good he is going to achieve with the power that he received from Sri Ramakrishna? He would achieve the welfare of the world by feeding the world, by catering to the spiritual and the educational needs of the mankind. All mankind needed some education. Normally, we belonging to the modern era, whenever we come across the term education, the picture that comes before us is what degree I have got, what PhD I have got, or how much of, how many degrees you have got, or whether you are a gold medalist or a silver medalist, what attainments you have, how much you have acclaimed, and all these things get flashed before us. But in Indian context, education means your ability to get freedom from all laws that are operating in the nature. Nature is external and internal. There are so many laws that are operating both in external nature and internal nature. Most of the times, science discovers the laws that are operating in the external world, and it is totally impossible for science to say anything about the laws that are in effect, that are operating in the internal world or the inner nature of man. But Indian definition of education is one should be able to know the laws that are operative both in external nature and internal nature, and at the same time one should be able to be free from these laws. Unless you can free yourself from the effect of these laws, in true sense of the term, your fulfillment in life has not come. It is to achieve this fulfillment, there is what is called as education. In Indian context, terms like dharma, education, spirituality, culture, they are no different. Spiritual training, education, culture, tapasya, these things are no different. So, when Narendranath wanted, or when Sri Ramakrishna wanted Narendranath to give the benefit of all the powers that he himself had transmitted to, that was through giving the mankind the right type of education whereby mankind would be freeing itself from all shackles, all worries, all limitations once and for all. This is typical Indian way of looking at things. For example, in Mundukopanishad, we come across a situation. There is a conversation that ensues between a disciple and the Guru. Guru Shishya Samvad, Upanishads, the whole of Upanishads, we come across several such conversations ensuing between the Guru and Shishya. In Mundukopanishad, there is one such. How the conversation is, it is like this. Shishya asks Guru one question. The question is, sir, what is it by knowing which I have known all? Is there anything by knowing which I need not know any other thing because I have known everything. Is there any technique like that? Is there any way like that? The question may appear somewhat mysterious or somewhat enigmatic, something that we cannot digest very easily. But the answer that Guru gave is in the affirmative. Yes, it's possible for you. There is something by knowing which we have known all. Kasmin bhagavo vijnate sarvam idam vijnatam bhavati. To quote it in the original, it runs like this. Kasmin bhagavo vijnate sarvam idam vijnatam bhavati. Is there anything by knowing which I have known all? Guru says yes. Acharya Shankara beautifully comments on this. He says, Yada ekena mrutpindena sarvam mrunmayam vijnanam syat. Vacharam pranam vikaro namadheyam mrutketena satyam. Once you have known all the details about a lump of clay of which all pottery in this world is made, it is not necessary for you to go in search of the knowledge pertaining to each and every part or each and everything that is made of the clay. Once you have known about the properties of clay, it is as good as knowing about everything that is made of clay. Like that, there is one building material of which this universe is made. Once you know it, you need not know anything about the universe because thereby you have become omniscient. You have known everything. If we should continue on logical lines, the interpretation of this particular mantra that we come across in Mundaka, sometimes I wonder, will not have the same student after some time asked the Guru or asked some elderly person in the vicinity a question like, sir, is there anything by possessing which we have possessed all? Today his impulse is, he wants to know something by knowing which he has known all. If the same impulse, if the same attitude, if it is applied for the possession of material things, or it is applied for the possession of knowledge, if the same attitude is applicable or applied for the possession of material thing, will he not have asked the question like, sir, is there anything by possessing which we can possess all? He might have asked that question, and with equal affirmation, answer also must have come. Question might not have been asked, or it might have been asked. If it has not been asked, there is a possibility whereby you can possess one thing and you need not possess any other thing because this one thing that you have possessed, it is inclusive of all other things under the sun or all other things in the whole creation. This is typically the Indian attitude of making oneself a fulfilled personality. He is a fulfilled person. Sarthakya. Jivan Sarthakya in Sanskrit we call. Jivan Sarthakya lies in the fact whether you are in a position to know something by knowing which you have known all. Is there any possibility in you whereby by having which you have everything at your disposal? Are you in such a position? Are you able to have that? That is how the benefit can be important to a person, either at individual level or at collective level. This is one way that India believes in giving benefit to any person that it wants to give the benefit to. Ramakrishna meant exactly this. Ramakrishna meant this. You do this to the whole world. Teach the world the secret of possessing the whole knowledge in one stroke, possessing every material thing that they want, just in one stroke. There is no other way than to capture the whole universe. Unless and until you capture the whole universe into your own hand, it is not possible to have the possession of everything that you want to. Unless you know the whole universe, all the forces that are operating in the universe, all secrets in the universe, it is not possible for you to become omniscient either. So we should know, we should have the knowledge of the whole universe, and we must be in a position to possess the whole universe. Is there a way? Yes, there is a way. That is the gist, that is the substance for Chandogya Upanishad. That is why wherever Vivekananda went, he simply preached Upanishads only. Vivekananda himself puts it very clearly at one point. I have never quoted anything but Upanishads. Swamiji says that. And it is the Upanishad that will always come for the rescue of the world whenever it is in doldrums. For example, way back in 1895, he was in London. He was so much disturbed to see how much materialistic Europe was turning out to be every day, day by day. Europe was turning out to be extremely materialistic, with no concern at all, with no attention at all for spiritual development that should go concomitantly along with the material development. Swamiji became a little bit concerned about that. He wanted to warn the whole Europe. From some platform he says, on some occasion he says, I clearly see that Europe is living on a volcanic eruption. I have clearly seen that the whole Europe is sitting on a volcanic eruption. If Europe does not turn itself towards spirituality, if Europe is not serious in making itself a bit spiritual in nature, I am sure it's going to reduce itself to ashes in 50 years. Europe is going to reduce to ashes in 50 years. This he said in 1895. 50 years means 1945. Exactly within 50 years, 2 world wars broke out and Europe was reduced to ashes. He did not just say that much and kept quiet. He continued. What later rescues Europe, what later saves Europe is the philosophy of Vedanta, the religion of Vedanta, the religion of Upanishads will save Europe later. Here he gives a hint. We can get a glimpse of the beauty and the implication of Upanishadic teaching, the value of Upanishadic teaching, the benefit of Upanishadic teaching. Upanishadic teaching is there for rescuing either a man at an individual level or a collectivity at collective level from the doldrums that he has been or it has been caught up. So that is how the things go. In Chandogya Upanishad, we come across a beautiful again, a conversation between father and son, Shvetaketu and Aruni. Because just now I refer to the fact that unless and until you know, you have the whole knowledge of the universe, your pursuit for knowledge cannot be completed, cannot come to a logical conclusion. Unless you possess the whole universe, pursuit of materialistic glory, material richness also cannot reach its logical conclusion. So having been born as a human being, at least in the Indian context, unless and until you have absolute knowledge and absolute bliss, fulfillment will never come to you. Because unless your knowledge is absolute and your joy is absolute, you will not have the status of Satchidananda. And unless you render yourself Satchidananda, your life's mission is incomplete and there is no fulfillment. Quite logical. So then how to have the whole universe into your hand? How to know the whole universe? How to have all the knowledge of the universe as well as how to have the possession of all the universe? Pertaining to this, there is a conversation in Chandogya Upanishad. The conversation that ensues between son and father, Shvetaketu and Aruni, where we come across this beautiful, one of the 4 Maha Mantras that Acharya Shankara was so fond of, bringing the attention of the world towards. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, one of the 4 Maha Mantras. Father Aruni explains to Shvetaketu, just as a banyan tree is so huge, so voluminous, mountain-like, so huge it is, still it is coiled up in a tiny microscopic seed that is the banyan seed. The huge banyan tree is coiled up in a tiny microscopic banyan seed. Just like that, the whole universe, remember Shvetaketu, it is encapsulated, it is coiled up in a tiny entity that you call your own mind. Once you have known your mind, you have known the whole universe. Once you have control on your mind, you have control on the whole universe. So to know universe, to have control over the whole universe, what is required to be done? What that is required to be done is to know your own mind and to have control on your own mind. Jitam Jagat Kena, Shankara puts this question. Who has conquered the Jagat? Jitam Jagat Kena, by whom the Jagat has been conquered? He puts this question and he himself will give the answer. Manohiyena, the one who has conquered mind has conquered Jagat also, the whole universe also. This is exactly what the gist of Vivekananda's teachings that we find as it is scattered in the 9 volumes under the title Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda. If you go through all the 9 volumes, there is one constant theme that is elaborated in 1,000 different ways. He had a disciple by the name Christian Greensteidel coming from Detroit here. Christian very clearly says, he talked, he conversed, he wrote, he discussed, he debated, but in and through all these things there used to be one constant theme, that is divinity of man. There was no other theme. The theme that Vivekananda imparted to the whole world, the teaching that he imparted to the whole mankind, is divinity. There is divinity in you, and make it manifest. He himself puts it very clearly at one point. I have no training, I have no program beyond training men. I want to set in motion a machinery that takes the message of divinity, message of freedom, message of strength, message of self-reliance to every doorstep. This is the philosophy that Vivekananda preached. Each and every soul. This is how he defines dharma also. And after all, India has been doling out, India has been in trumpet voice, teaching the whole world. Dharma, the one who follows dharma alone becomes victorious. Yato dharmas tato jayaha, dharmo rakshata rakshitaha. So, India leaves no stone unturned in turning the attention of each and every human being towards the fact that unless and until he scrupulously and consciously sticks to the path of dharma, there is no question of his survival, there is no question of his growth, there is no question of his moving towards the destination. There is definitely no meaning at all for his existence. Like that, India never is, it never tires itself in drawing our attention towards that. Vivekananda therefore finds it very, very much in fitness of things to also portray before the mankind the concept of the true dharma in all its true meaning. He defines dharma like each soul is potentially divine. Some 3-4 points are there in this definition. So beautiful. Each and every soul, remember, he uses the word soul. He didn't say only this particular segment of people, because there are certain religions that say only we have got the soul and they don't have the soul. Only we have got the chance for salvation, they don't have any chance for salvation. Like that, there are so many religions that say like that. But here, the Hindu philosophy or Sanatana philosophy, as interpreted by Vivekananda, clearly says each soul is potentially divine, and there is only one goal for the whole humanity. Each and every human being, knowingly or unknowingly, whether he wants it or not, whether he is conscious or not, whether he is conscious or not conscious, irrespective of any such thing, there is one goal for every man. The goal is to manifest this divinity. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity. And how to manifest? How can I know that I am manifesting the divinity that is coiled up in me, that is there in me? By controlling nature external and nature internal. This is what I elaborated till now. Are you able to control nature external? Therefore, when science helps you to control nature external, science becomes an integral part of dharma. According to Hinduism, science is an integral part of dharma. That is why science and religion have never been at loggerheads in Indian context. While in the Western context, science and religion have been always at loggerheads, one fighting with the other in one or the other way. But in India, we never come across a situation or a context where either science has picked up a quarrel with religion or religion has picked up a quarrel with science. Because science helps us for becoming dharmic. So by controlling nature external and nature internal, it's possible for you to manifest your divinity, which is the goal of man, irrespective of nationality, the language that you speak, or any other affiliation for that matter. Each soul is potentially divine, and the goal is to manifest this divinity by controlling nature external and nature internal. Train up yourself, whereby you are able to control nature. Aeroplane has controlled a bit of nature. Aeroplane has violated the law of gravitation. Therefore, aeroplane is a symbol where some dharma, the divinity is being manifested. A scientist has definitely manifested the divinity that is there within him. And there are so many other instances where we have been able to violate the laws of nature. For example, water cannot move up, but there is a scientist who has invented that water pump with the help of which we can make water move up. There also there is a bit of divinity everywhere, because science is a part of religion, scientist is a part of divine, he is also a divine being for the reason Unless he has pursued truth, he would not have got the scientific truth that he has discovered. So wherever there is pursuit of truth, in all the sincerity, remember the man that is pursuing the truth is a dharmic personality. He is as much respected in India as a saint is respected. That is why people like Bhaskaracharya and so many such great personages that we come across in Indian context, they are as much respected as a Maharshi like a Bharadwaja Rishi or Vasishtha Maharshi or Vishwamitra Maharshi. So nature controlling nature external and nature internal is the mark whereby you can say whether you are manifesting your divinity or not. How to do it? It is okay. Where controlling nature external and internal is the one clear sign whereby one can come to the assessment whether one is on the path of divinity or not. But how to do it? There are 4 different ways. Long ago, India has discovered 4 royal paths whereby we can achieve it. And each path is called as a yoga. You can do this by any of the 4 yogas. By meditation, you can do it. By subjecting yourself or by involving yourself into the deep inquiry as to who you are. You can do it. By developing that love for that supreme being, you can do it. That is Bhakti Yoga. And through meditation, you can do it. That is Raja Yoga. By anyone, or by a combination of 2 or 3, or by all of these, and be free. Unless and until you control nature external and internal, there is no freedom for you. You are not free. You might have conquered the whole world, but still you are an enslaved personality. You are a miserable personality. We have seen Alexanders, we have seen Caesars, we have seen Napoleons. Towards the conclusion of their life, how much of a pitiable being all of them became, and how much of repentance they had, how much they lamented, how much they regretted. Just to recall to my memory, the other day when Napoleon was arrested and he was thrown into that tiny island, St. Helena, near the west coast of Africa, Napoleon, when he was thrown into that island, St. Helena, near the west coast of Africa, Napoleon felt like writing one autobiography. He wanted to recall all his experiences. He also starts writing an autobiography where he gives an expression to some very sad feeling that was, leveling up in him continuously. Probably for giving a benefit to the future generations, only to make them understand where Napoleon himself went wrong. What he writes there is, I'm quoting him, there are in this world 2 powers, the power of the spirit and the power of the sword. Napoleon writes this, there are in this world 2 powers, the power of the spirit and power of the sword. The power of the spirit has always vanquished the power of the sword. Alexander, Julius Caesar, Charlemagne, and we all have founded empires. Upon what the power of our genius did depend? Upon the power of the sword. Jesus Christ alone founded his empire upon the power of the spirit. Napoleon mentioned the name of only Jesus Christ because he only knew about Jesus Christ. A Buddha founded his empire upon the power of the spirit. A Krishna, all Vedic rishis, Ramakrishna. We have a long line of people in India, sages and saints, who have established their empires, spiritual empires, on the power of the spirit. But Napoleon did not know all those things, and therefore he says, Jesus Christ alone founded his empire upon the power of the spirit, and even to this long day, millions would die for him. His empire is expanding while I lost my empire. I am a miserable being now. I am arrested, I am crippled, I am thrown into a tiny corner, and my misery is increasing day by day. I don't know, any moment I may breathe my last. I have become most wretched personality right now. So that's what he meant. Here we see any number of such examples. Yayati also, in Indian context, we see Yayati, we see Raja Kaushika, who later became Vishwamitra, and having found that kingly power is extremely limited, Vishwamitra gives a message to the whole world, Dhik Kshatriya Balam Brahma Tejo Balam Balam. Fire upon this kingly power. The real power is Brahma Teja. The saintly power is real power. So like that we see so many messages being given by Indian seers, saints, kings, Rajarshis, and all those people. All said and done. What Vivekananda meant was, unless and until a man comes in possession of spiritual strength, all other strengths will be of no use. Sri Ramakrishna used to say this. any number of zeros put side by side will not get any value at all. If a zero has to get any value, then they all must succeed a positive number. First write a number like 1. Later you put any number of zeros. Addition of every 1 zero will increase the value of the number by 10. Put first a number, then put a 0. Then only the number will have, zero will have any value. If I write 2 and put 1 0, it becomes 20. I add one more 0, it becomes 200. I put one more 0, it becomes 2000. Addition of 0 will increase the value of the number only in the presence of the number that precedes all these zeros. If there is no any number like that, any number of zeros, right from New York to Washington, from London to New Delhi, you go on putting zeros endlessly, all those zeros ultimately will come and no value. So this is what Ramakrishna used to say. Vivekananda puts it in some other sense. Unless as basis there is spiritual strength, every other strength may be so glorious for a time, for a moment, but it will not have any lasting value. They are all ephemeral and they are not eternal. So first and foremost, Sri Ramakrishna also used to say, first have that Brahma Jnana and Parabhakti, later you do whatever you want. You may become a sannyasi, you may become a householder, do whatever you want, be whatever you want to be. But remember, before that, it should be a fact with you that you have that little Brahma Jnana and or Bhakti in you. It's only in the later stages. It is only as an aftermath effect that every other strength that you, every other power, every other strength that you may accrue will have some value and not otherwise. This is the gist of Vivekananda philosophy. This is true spirituality, most scientific spirituality. And just to elaborate on one point Vivekananda said, because he has suggested 4 royal ways whereby the divinity can be achieved. Control over nature external, nature internal can be achieved. He has suggested 4 royal paths. The first path that he suggested was about Jnana Yoga, which means to say you should know who you are. Simply you have to go on inquiring about who you are really. Am I this body? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? By simply knowing who you are, by inquiring into the fact as to who you are, you will have achieved all the glory that you need. You will have achieved all the ability and the strength that you need for controlling nature external and internal, because this one question as to who I am, who am I, this one question ultimately will take you to the final point whereby you will have become a Brahma Jnani, having all the jnana that is required for you to enable yourself for the fulfillment in your life or for enabling yourself for freeing from all the shackles of the law. Just to illustrate this one point, I would like to present before you one interesting episode that took place. Once a student in Madras University went to Ramana Maharshi, Tiruvannamalai. Maharshi, you might have heard about him. He used to be always very silent, would wear only a loincloth, no more clothing, nothing of that sort, very simple, typical Brahmajnani. By then he had become very famous, and during those times it was a fashion on the part of the students of Madras University to say that he had gone to Tiruvannamalai, met Maharshi, spent some time with him and all that. Very much in tune with this line, when a student went to Tiruvannamalai, Maharshi was sitting quietly and there were so many people sitting in front of him. All were silent only because that used to be the way with which Maharshi would give his teaching. Mauna Vyakhya, just as we see in the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvan. Brahma Tattvam is being interpreted only through silence. Mauna Vyakhya. Maharshi is sitting. The student straight away went to him and put him a question. Sir, please teach me something. Asked him, sir, please teach me something. Maharshi simply looked at him and said, let everyone get out. Later I will teach you. So it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The bell in the dining room was ringing. So everybody left the place and went towards the dining hall. So the student again approached Maharshi and repeated his question. Sir, everyone has gone out. I only am here. Maharshi again silently looked at him and said, let that I also get out. Later I will teach you. I only am here, sir. Everyone has gone out. I only am here. That was what student said. At which Maharishi said, let that I also get out. Later I will teach you. He gave enough hint. He gave all the teaching that the student required. He gave enough hint to find out who you are. You are saying, I only am here. How do you say you are here? Who are you then? Find out who are you. Simply by knowing who you are. Remember all the limitations in which you are caught up today, all the darkness that has hovered over you, all the darkness that has packed you, that has enveloped you, will go away. You get all the light that you need. There may be darkness in the room for the past 1,000 years, but the moment lamp is brought, all the darkness gets dispelled, it will go away. Like that, through several births, we may be caught up in that spell of ignorance, but the moment we come to know as to who we are, we become enlightened. Everything has, all limitations have gone away, and we become free. So, freedom, freedom, freedom. In that through the teachings of Vivekananda, we see only one marvelous, wonderful teaching that is being imparted to the audience all over the world. Wherever he went to West Coast, he came to East Coast, from Chicago, he came to New York, Boston, everywhere in America. He told almost every major city he covered. In India also he gave a lot of teaching. In London also he gave a lot of teaching. In and through all this, we find only one thing, that is, man, you are divine, but unfortunately, you are behaving in a different way. You are not behaving like a divine being. You are behaving in a different way. Why you are behaving in a different way? You are caught up in the influence of Maya. This is the definition of Maya. Maya makes a person behave differently. In addition to what you are really, you will also have an apparent self, different from your real self. Each and every one of us sitting here, all of you that are sitting here, including me, we have got two selves, the real self and the apparent self. Whenever I ask you, whenever I put to you the question who you are, the description that you give about your own self pertains to apparent self and not the real self. Then what is the nature of the real self? That is the content, that is the substance of the whole Upanishads. What is your real self and how you can drive away the apparent self, making way for the real self to reign supreme in your workaday life. That is the whole theme of Upanishad, that is the whole theme of Vivekananda teaching. No other way. That is the way for which a man is born. Subhuman species can never achieve it. Only human species can achieve it. So, unless and until that you get that clear impulse within yourself, that I should know who really I am. Shankaracharya asks this question, he puts this question to everyone. And he expects everyone to put this question to himself. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha, kame janani kome tataha. Who am I? Where from I have come? Why far I have come? There is a beautiful, wonderful Western thinker, probably the British thinker, who says, there are only 2 days that are really significant in one's life. Only 2 days are significant. What are those 2 days? The day you are born, the day you started inquiring why. The day you are born is a very significant day. The other day that is very significant in your life, the day you started inquiring why you are born. Except these 2 days, all other days almost are a waste. You have just whiled away your time during other days. It's okay. It's a bit philosophical, maybe bit abstract, or may not appreciate it. That's a different question. But remember, it is possible for us to find out the real self within us. And remember, any amount of glory that you may associate your apparent self with is so negligible compared to the glory of the real self. The real self in you is Atma. And what is its nature? That is the whole substance of Kathopanishad. To put it in one sentence, Tadu natyeti kaschana etat vaitat. How is this Atman? Atman is such that nothing in this world can excel that. Tadu natyeti kaschana etat vaitat. The glory of Atman is such that nothing else is comparable to it. Even Lord of the Lords, even Bhagavan is nothing compared to the Atman. For that matter, there is no Bhagavan in his independent existence. Your own self assumes an external version, and that we call Paramatman or Bhagavan. It is nothing other than your own Atman. Atman itself becomes Paramatman. If you are not aware of Atman, you will absolutely have no knowledge at all. You will not have even the inclination to know a semblance about what we call as Paramatman. So the basic and the most fundamental requirement on your part that you must achieve some glory around you, in your lifetime is to first develop that impulse to know about your own Atman, who you are, Kastvam Koam, Kutayata, because by knowing Atman, you have known everything. By getting Atman, you have got everything. Easiest way of making yourself enriched, easiest way of making yourself glorious. There are so many thousands of ways, but they are all waste of time, because this is the easiest and the straight methodology. This is where the glory of India lies. No other country, no other race in this world could have any sort of a glimpse about this. Only India alone had this. All these things, knowledge of India's achievement, like this, made Vivekananda very proud Indian. He himself says very clearly, I am a proud Hindu. Be a proud Hindu. Not only he used to say, I am a proud Hindu, he also has given a call, all of you also must be equally proud Hindus. I am one of the proudest men ever born on this earth. Swamiji puts it in a very clear language. I am one of the proudest men ever born on this earth. Why he is so proud? I trace my pride to my ancestry. In London, one professor stood up during the course of his lecture and asked him a question. The subject matter of the lecture was about Buddha. In the course of the talk, some gentleman, probably a professor, he stood up and asked this question. Sir, if Buddha was so great as you said, why did he not come to England for preaching? Why he didn't come to England for preaching? Immediately Vivekananda looked at him, rather probably might have stared at him and said, where was your England at that time? Where was your England? My country had reached the zenith of civilization, even while Europe was still living on the branches of trees, painting itself blue. You got the seeds of civilization only after Renaissance. Renaissance is Renaissance only for Italy. For the rest of Europe, that is the first sprouts of civilization. You know, the first ever university in Europe came in 13th century. That too African Muslims started the first European university in Spain in 13th century. While in 13th century BC, we had established a world-renowned university that we call as Takshashila University. 14th century BC, that great Sanskrit grammarian, who is he? Forgot his name. Panini. Panini worked in the Takshashila University and he lived in 14th century BC, according to records that we have at our disposal for proving this point. So, where was your England at that time? So all this glory India could achieve by following this particular sentiment as adopted, as incorporated into the common education system that was afoot, that was operative in India in the days of Upanishads. What was the modus operandi or mechanism of Indian education system at that time? Make every student develop a hunger for knowing one, for knowing that, by knowing which has known all. Nothing less than that. A teacher, a student should be trained up in. Nothing less than that. Always one must aim at the sun. So same sentiment is expressed in various ways. Aim at the sun, even if you fail, you will become a star. All these things mean one and the same. Why in Chandogya Upanishad again we see, Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham Na Alpe Sukham Asti. Unless you aim at Bhuma, there is no sukha for you. Nothing Alpa can ever give you any sukha at all. Even a shadow of sukha you will not have. Always you must aim at the highest. And what is that highest? It is not a relative terminology, that it is defined in the Upanishads. What is beyond time, beyond space, and beyond causation? That is Bhuma. That Bhuma you must capture, you must catch hold of. Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham Na Alpe Sukham Asti. This is the audacity Indian seers had. As long ago as during the days of Vedas itself, first Indian race wanted to become like Indra. Everyone wanted to become like Indra, who will have all the luxuries, all the pleasures, unlimitedly. Later they found out whatever pleasure, whatever glory, greatness that Indra may be in a position to have in association with his position is again very much bound by time. It is time-bound glory, it is time-bound luxury. So therefore, through the mouth of Nachiketa, India spoke and gave to the whole mankind this wisdom. Anything that is time-bound, anything that is space-bound is something that is not to be sought. Nahyadhruvaihi dhruvam tat janamyaham. When Yama told Nachiketa, instead of seeking Atmajnana, why should he not seek Indra Padavi? Why don't you aim at becoming Indra? Why do you want Atmajnana? Nachiketa, 5-year-old boy says, Janamyaham, I know it certainly, Yama, Janami aham, Janamyaham, Shevadhariti Anityam. That Indra Padavi is Anitya. Adhruvaihi prapyate hidhruvanta. Nothing permanent will emerge out of something that is impermanent. So whatever I want, that should remain with me, that should stay with me on a permanent basis. Remember, all these things are included in the fact that unless and until you achieve or you attain to the stage whereby no law in the external universe will bind you, no law in internal universe can bind you, remember your life's mission is not fulfilled, and nothing less than that is the life's mission of a man as per Indian philosophy of life, Indian concept of life, Indian definition of life. So the easiest way for achieving this is come out of the shackles of the apparent self and establish yourself in the true self. For that matter, in New York, Madison Square. In Madison Square, Vivekananda delivered this beautiful talk, which is contained in his complete works that runs into about 15 pages. The topic of the talk is the real and the apparent man. The real and the apparent man. Remember, this subject matter of this one particular talk has been elaborated by one American scientist for which has been given Nobel Prize. You look into that book, the book that he has written for which has been given Nobel Prize, look into that book, it is nothing but the elaboration of this particular thing. And you know who is the scientist? Alexis Carrel, and the book is Man the Unknown. The subject matter, the theme of the book Man the Unknown is that just an elaboration of Vivekananda's one talk. Such talks Swamiji delivered in hundreds on the soil of America. Each and every talk is worth a Nobel Prize. Most wonderful. After all, when Divine Mother sends a person to this earth for teaching mankind, she must be very much prudent in her selection. She must be very much justified in her selection. So Vivekananda came, gave this teaching for about 9 years. He toured it to every part of the world, gave sufficiently, as to quote his own words, I have given the world what is sufficient for 1500 years. But we really understand that Vivekananda has not ceased to work. He may not be there in physical form, but he is very much there in a very subtle form. And in that subtle form, he has been inspiring men, he has been teaching men in a very subtle way. In London, while talking to one of his close disciples by name Eric Hammond, he puts it very clearly. I may find it very easy to get out of this body only to throw it away as though it is a worn out garment. But I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire everywhere till the whole humanity will come to know that it is one with God. Till each and every person in this mankind realizes that he is God himself. And this human form, human dimension is just an external coverage, only acting as an instrument that will aid the inner dimension, that is divinity. So the human dimension is just an aid, just as this clothing that I have worn is just an aid for me. And it is not my being. My clothing is not my being. My being is inside. Body is my being. Only to wrap up my body in the way that I want, I have adopted a methodology which I call as my garment or my clothing or whatever it is. Like that, this body also is a garment for the inner subtler dimension, that is the mind, and mind is again a garment for still subtler dimension that we call as self, and self is the true being of you. That is your real you. The whole life's mission for a man must be to always calibrate the apparent self to the real self. That is nothing but realizing the divinity that is innate for each and every one. It is not that you are going to attain it afresh. It is not that you are going to gain it. It is not that you are going to earn it in any way. It is already there in you, unfortunately, because of ignorance, because of our wrong parameters that we have used for identifying ourselves. We have been living in a way that is not becoming of us. It's high time, or every man should feel, it's high time for him to understand who really he is, the most glorious person that he is, most wonderful person that he is, in his innate dimensions. To put it in the language of Krishna, with which I would like to conclude my speech, Krishna says, Ascharyavat pashyati kashchidenam. Arjuna, your true dimension is such that if anybody sees at you, he becomes wonderstruck. Ascharyavat pashyati kashchidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. If anybody hears about you, he becomes wonderstruck. Ascharyavat vadati ascharyavat pashyati kashchidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. Ascharya vachenam anyashrunoti. If I am telling about you to some other person, maybe my friend, full of exclamations only will come as a reaction from him. That sort of a person you are. Shrutvapyeno Vedana Chaiva Kashti. There is no other way that I can describe you as. Krishna puts it in Bhagavad Gita. Be it Bhagavad Gita, be it Upanishad, be it Vivekananda teaching, the summum bonum of all these things. The gist of all these things is that man, you are divine. Unfortunately, you have forgotten that. You are behaving like a very ordinary mortal, which is totally unbecoming of you. And therefore, a true benefactor to the mankind will always put his benefit before the seekers who are seeking some benefit from him in the manner of teaching everyone his true nature only. If Vivekananda has taught everyone his true nature, that is the greatest benefit that he can ever impart to the seekers of benefit from Vivekananda. Swamiji puts it clearly. Teach everyone, teach yourself, teach everyone his true nature. Come out of this hypnotism of weakness. You have hypnotized yourself to a weakling, which is absolutely has nothing to do with your true nature. Teach yourself, teach everyone his true nature. Come out of this hypnotism of weakness, and what would be the result? Power will come, purity will come, glory will come, goodness will come, everything that is excellent will come once the sleeping soul is roused to self-conscious activity. This is the gist of Vivekananda's teaching. He did it in a remarkable way for about 9 years, from 30 to 39. He toured all parts of the world, gave it in a beautiful manner, in his own, after his own fashion, and you all know he died at that young age of 39 years. He lived for 39 years, 5 months and 24 days. On July 4th, American Independence Day, Sri Ramakrishna breathed his last on Indian Independence Day, and Swamiji breathed his last on American Independence Day. Like that, there are so many factors that are so interesting, that are so beautifully interwoven, interestingly interwoven with the history of India and America. I have just quoted one before you, that's all. So anyway, thank you for your very patient listening. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thanks for your time. Thanks for giving, the words and satsanga. Thank you. For everyone, I think allow,
Namaste, Dhanyavad Swamiji. So Swamiji mentioned quite a few things, and one of the things is each soul is potentially divine, and the goal is to manifest that divinity. We at HSS, we gather every Sunday, and we carry on the same message that Swamiji has given us. And when many of the books that we learned in Shaka is also about Swami Vivekananda, and we follow along the same footsteps. We have HSS, Hindu Swayamsevak Sangha, is a not-for-profit organization registered in USA. We have 250 such chapters all across the USA, and in Charlotte we have around we have 4 chapters in Charlotte. So the main goal of HSS is to promote, preserve, and practice Hinduism. As Swamiji mentioned, Hinduism has the answers to all the questions that the world has. And how can we preserve and practice Hinduism? How can we hand over this such a rich culture that we have to the second generation living in USA? We all are lucky to be born in India. We got that for free. How can we pass on this lineage to the second generation? What kind of forum we can provide it to them, so that they can also carry on not just a passive Hindu, but an active, proud Hindu, is what the goal of HSS is. HSS, our main activities, all the activities on a weekly basis has been divided into the spiritual aspect of it, intellectual aspect of it, as well as the physical aspect of it, so that the all-rounded development of our Karyakartas is what we aim after. We take social, the concerns of our society, and we try to address them. There are many things that our Hinduism has, and we all are ambassador of Hinduism in this country. So we take the beautiful things that our culture has and try to be part of the local community here and spread that goodness around here, not just within the Indian community, but also to the community around us. We do Guru Vandana event, where Guruji just said that it is very important to have a Guru to guide us. So we do Guru Vandana, and where we invite all the white teachers of our Shaka coming kids, and we tell them good things about Hinduism. This is how the gurus are being revered in our culture. We do Surya Namaskar Yajna. We do that is the yoga. Swamiji also mentioned that yoga, the one of the thing is Raj Yoga. We also take this to the local communities here. We ask them to do the yoga every day and explain the benefit of them. We do Seva Diwali. Seva Diwali is where we collect the food. We mainly do the food drives, and we try to be part of the local community here. Last year we collected over 600 pounds of food, and we donated it to the local pantries over here. So there is so much of great knowledge. As Swamiji explained, this is all good knowledge, and we HSS, we try to take this knowledge and come up with an applications of it and try to be part of it and implement that in the local community over here. That is what we have been doing, and presence and such talks of Swamiji further enhance our conviction in this work, gives us the energy to do even more work. So Dhanyavad everyone for coming here. We gather here every Sunday from 4 to 5:30. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to talk to any of us. Dhanyavad.
So we'll quickly wrap up. We'll take the chairs out and then